Okay, just a follow up from the previous video I did about the issues I was having with my car stalling, the difference between G4X and the way G4 Plus do their idle base position and their E-throttle target table, bottom row. So this is the original way that the tuner set up my G4 Plus. So this is the G4X method. So you can see here under idle base position table, he's got 2.2, 2.4, 2.8 and 5.4. So pretty big numbers compared to what it looks like the result of what I ended up with. And you can see here he put a 1 here to stop it from fully closing, but this is all 0, okay? And sort of once you get your head around how the G4 Plus does the idle control versus G4X, you sort of understand why. And then this was another, the speed lockout was off. And he sort of explained that if you turn it on, and I tried it, if you turn on the speed lockout, the idle would never drop to my target, which I ended up using 900 RPM. You can see here he left it at 1,000. You can have 1,000 RPM, but I sort of prefer 900 RPM. So we'll go now to the next one where he transposed. So he transposed the tune. So at operating temp, he had 1.0, 0.7, and a little bit less numbers. In fact, and again, the speed lockout was off. These are sort of the values here. AC stayed the same, I think, throughout, but we can look at that. In fact, if I go here and we go compare, so if you don't know about this, you can actually compare two tunes. So let's go into here, and then I've got it saved in here. I also name each different sort of tune, that way I can go back. All right, so this is the annoying part, is you have to adjust the table. So above, oh no, hang on, is that the wrong one? What's going on here? Why are those numbers so high? Maybe I did select the wrong one. Isn't it great? This always happens with... No? Okay. Alright, I'm just going to close this. So anyway, when he fixed it, he had 2 in this bottom row all the way across. And then in the idle base position, these are the numbers he had. You can go back in the video and have a look at the original G4X method and compare it to these numbers, all right? So this was still wrong. It drove really well, but it was still stalling out of the blue when I came to the lights, okay? Now this one is the one that I did from scratch using the method that I showed you the other day. So these are the numbers that I got in the idle base position. So I ended up with 0 up here, okay? E-throttle, I ended up with a 4 here and then 3 across the rest. So let's say we're idling at 900 RPM. We're 3 in the E-throttle target. And at operating temperature, we're 0. So that's a total of 3 base idle target or base idle position on your graph. basically TP main would be 3 plus your steps. Now, okay, so I ended up having 0 for the fan step. Speed lockout I had set to 10 kilometers an hour. Deadband is 20. You could have 30 there. I might even try changing that. Same with the TP AP lockout. You could have that at 0.5 or you could have it at 1. And then this is the biggest one here, is RPM lockout, because this idle speed RPM lockout adds to your idle target RPM. So at 90C, my idle is 900 and the RPM lockout is at 1000, because 900, these two add together. So idle target RPM and RPM lockout for idle speed control, these two add together. So my idle speed control comes in at 1000 RPM, because 100 plus 900 plus 100 is 1000. So that's when my idle speed control comes in at less than 10 kilometers an hour, and when the throttle position is less than 0.5. So you could change that to 1, but I want my idle to switch out of idle control as soon as I press the pedal. So that's why I've set that to 0.5. So those are the differences. That's this one. Just to reiterate, 4, 3, and he also has the idle ignition table set up, and I actually altered these. So this RPM lockout is different. This does not add to the existing idle target. So idle ignition control on mine comes in at 1200, but I have the speed lockout at 5 because I only want the idle ignition control coming on when I'm definitely stopped. Okay, so that's why I've set that to 5. I did have this at 1400, I just set it to 1200. And then again, the map lockout, he actually had that set to 100 kPa. I've set it to 50 because in the instructions they say you only want your idle ignition control to come in when you're actually idling, which generally you're stopped is when you're idling. So yeah, that's it. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, these were the main things to cause the speed lockout to work, and it was because it's hard to explain. So if the closed loop is pulling too much, i.e. your base position plus your E-throttle target plus your steps is too high, when the speed lockout comes in, it won't pull it to idle. The idle will hang. So it might hang at 1100 RPM, it might hang at 1200 RPM, it might hang at 1500 RPM, depending on how big the idle base, the E-throttle first row, and your steps, how big they add up to. So let's just have a look here. So at operating temp, I've got 0. At idle speed, I've got 3. So we're at 3% already. And then fan engine step, so whether the fan's on or not, it's still 3. And then if the AC is on, at operating temp, we have 0.1. So my base target or my throttle is targeting 3.1% at operating temp, at idle, and that's what it needs to idle. So yeah, there you go. If you have any questions, let me know. If that was helpful, leave us a like. Just like the video, even if it wasn't helpful, because it helps other people find it. And click subscribe, because it also helps other people find the videos. But thanks for watching. I just thought I'd go through that and just jump back and forth through the video, so that you know, you can look at, I wouldn't necessarily say copy these settings, but you can, maybe you could punch in the same settings and compare, and then do it, like save it as a separate file and do a compare to what your tune is set up at. And that's one of the biggest things that helped me. If you don't know how to do it, you just go File, Compare, and then you find an existing tune file. So let's compare it to, so see, this one's the same. So this was one that I altered. So there's no changes. In fact, if you go here on the side, there you go. So the only changes this one has is changes to the idle ignition control somewhere. Oh yeah, down here. So this is where I changed these. So in fact, that's how I had it set previously, and this is where I ended up at. So yeah, and then just to get rid of it, just go compare, close. Cool. Hope that helped. Thanks for watching.